If one person is always on your mind, this is not an accident. It may feel random, confusing, even frustrating at times, but nothing this persistent appears in your inner world without a reason. Thoughts do not repeat themselves endlessly without purpose. When a specific person keeps returning to your awareness during quiet moments, before sleep, upon waking, in sudden flashes during the day, it is often a sign that something deeper is unfolding beneath the surface of your conscious mind. You may have tried to distract yourself. You may have told yourself that you are imagining things, that it means nothing, that you should move on. Yet no matter how busy you become, no matter how much time passes, this person continues to appear in your thoughts, as if gently knocking from the inside of your mind, asking to be noticed. This kind of mental presence is not the same as ordinary attraction or casual memory. It carries weight, it carries emotion, and often it carries meaning that goes far beyond the person themselves. The mind is not a random machine. It is deeply symbolic. When someone occupies your thoughts again and again, it is often because they represent something your soul is trying to process, integrate, or awaken. Sometimes it is about love, sometimes about unfinished emotional business, sometimes about a part of yourself that was activated when this person entered your life. In many cases, the person becomes a mirror, reflecting something hidden within you that is asking for recognition. Think about how this person entered your life. Often, the strongest mental attachments form not in stable, predictable connections, but in moments of emotional intensity. Perhaps they appeared during a time of change, vulnerability, loss, or awakening. The mind remembers not just the person, but the emotional state you were in when you encountered them. If they arrived at a moment when your inner world was shifting, they may have become linked to that transformation. Every time your mind returns to them, it may actually be returning to that version of yourself, the one who was waking up, hoping, breaking, or becoming something new. There is also the reality that the unconscious mind communicates through repetition. What you consciously avoid, the unconscious insists upon. If there are emotions you never expressed, words you never spoke, or truths you never allowed yourself to face, the mind may attach those unspoken elements to a specific person. They become the container for everything unresolved. It is not always that you miss the person as they are now, but that you are still carrying the emotional energy of what was left incomplete. This is why you may think about them even when logic says you should not, even when the relationship is over, even when distance or time separates you, even when you know rationally that things cannot continue the way they once were. Logic lives in the conscious mind. Repetition lives in the unconscious. And the unconscious does not release something until it has been understood. Sometimes this persistent presence points to an emotional bond that was formed at a deeper level than ordinary connection. Not all bonds are created through time. Some are created through intensity. A single moment of deep recognition, vulnerability, or emotional honesty can imprint itself more strongly than years of surface-level interaction. When that happens, the mind continues to return to that person, not because you are weak, but because something meaningful was exchanged. It is also important to understand that thinking about someone constantly does not always mean you are meant to be with them forever. This is one of the most misunderstood aspects of deep mental attachment. The purpose of the connection is not always continuation. Sometimes the purpose is awakening. Sometimes it is healing. Sometimes it is contrast, showing you what you desire, what you fear, or what you have been missing within yourself. There are moments when a person enters your life only to awaken something dormant inside you. Confidence, creativity, emotional depth, a sense of being seen. When they leave, the awakening remains unfinished. Your mind keeps returning to them, not because they are the source, but because they were the trigger. The task then becomes recognizing that what you are seeking did not belong to them. It was activated within you. Another reason a person may stay on your mind is emotional resonance. When two people share similar wounds, fears, or unmet needs, their inner worlds can resonate with each other. Even without constant communication, this resonance can create a sense of ongoing presence. Your mind senses familiarity, even across silence. This does not require mystical explanations. It is how emotional memory works. The nervous system remembers how it felt to be understood, challenged, or emotionally stirred, and it seeks to revisit that state. At times, the person on your mind represents a version of life you did not live, a choice you did not make, a path you did not take. The mind is deeply curious about alternate realities. When someone symbolizes a different future or identity, they can linger in your thoughts as a question rather than an answer. Who would I have been if becomes attached to a face, a voice, a name? This is why you may think of them during moments of stillness. When the noise of daily life fades, the deeper questions surface. The person becomes a symbol of possibility, regret, or longing. Not necessarily longing for them, but longing for the self you were becoming around them. There is also the possibility that your mind is asking you to integrate a lesson. Every deep connection carries a message. Sometimes the message is about boundaries. Sometimes it is about self-worth. Sometimes it is about courage, vulnerability, or honesty. Until the lesson is fully integrated, the mind returns to the source of the lesson. Once it is understood, the emotional charge begins to fade naturally without force. Many people try to suppress these thoughts, believing that thinking about someone too much is a sign of weakness. In truth, suppression only strengthens unconscious attachment. The mind does not release what it is not allowed to process. Instead of asking, how do I stop thinking about them? A more powerful question is, what is this connection trying to show me about myself? Notice what emotions arise when you think of this person. Is it warmth, sadness, longing, inspiration, pain, regret, or motivation? Emotions are signals. They point toward unmet needs or emerging truths. If thinking of them brings sadness, there may be grief that has not been honored. If it brings inspiration, there may be a creative or emotional energy that wants expression. If it brings pain, there may be a boundary that needs to be reinforced, or a wound that needs compassion. There are also times when a person remains on your mind because you outgrew the version of yourself that existed before them. They mark a psychological threshold. Before them, you were one person. After them, you are another. The mind revisits them as a reference point, not because it wants to return, but because it recognizes that something significant changed. You may notice that as you evolve, the quality of the thoughts changes. What once felt consuming may become quieter. What once felt painful may become neutral. This is a sign of integration. The mind no longer needs to repeat the image to get your attention. The lesson has been absorbed. It is also worth understanding that attachment does not always equal destiny. Romanticizing constant thoughts can lead to confusion. Not every intense mental connection is meant to be pursued externally. Some are meant to be understood internally. Clarity comes not from acting impulsively, but from listening carefully. When the mind fixates on one person, it often means your attention is being drawn inward, toward your emotional patterns, toward your desires, toward the parts of yourself that awaken only in the presence of the certain energies. The person becomes a doorway, not the destination. As you become more aware, you may realize that the connection softens once you begin honoring what it revealed. If they awakened confidence, you begin building it within yourself. If they revealed your capacity for deep love, you allow yourself to express it more freely in life. If they exposed a wound, you tend to it with patience rather than avoidance. And then something interesting happens. The thoughts lose their grip, not because you forced them away, but because they are no longer needed. The mind moves on naturally when its message has been received. So if one person is always on your mind, do not judge yourself. Do not rush to label it obsession or fate. Instead, become curious. Ask what part of you was activated. Ask what remains unresolved. Ask what wants to grow. Sometimes, the most important relationships are not the ones that last forever, but the ones that change you forever. They stay in your mind not to haunt you, but to guide you toward deeper self-understanding. And when you finally understand why they appeared, you may find that whether they stay or go no longer defines you. What defines you is what you became because of them.